It's the only podcast that broadcasts 438 miles between each other, Lubbock College Station, the school that's in the Final Four, and the school that just hired a head coach. Glad to have you with us on the fifth quarter, episode number 18. Once again, I'm George Koff, as always, with my friend in Lubbock, who's maybe a little bit more excited than usual. Desmond McLaughlin. Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, almost said Tuesday, Wednesday, April the 3rd, as we count down the days till Final Four Saturday. Desmond, how are you feeling?
Feeling great, George. Never been better. The campus is live. Everyone was so hyped whenever we won the game. Everyone was in a good mood. I even saw police officers giving high fives out on the streets. It was just great here.
Wow. That's got to be something, for sure. So, Desmond, I wanted to. Did you say you were going to go to Minneapolis or no?
No, I didn't. It's too far. If
No?
it was closer, it's too far. If it was closer, I'd definitely go.
When will the next time Texas Tech be in the Final Four?
Well, hey, there'll be plenty of chances. All right, we're improving team.
Improving. I don't know, Desmond. I don't know if you'll be able to beat Michigan State, so maybe it'd be a good idea for you not go to the Final
Hey,
Four.
but we still have next season.
That's fair. And we will get to the Buzz Williams talk later, as A&M hired their new basketball coach, and what might be the hire of the century for the Texas A&M athletics. I would say that, but then I'd be remissing that we did hire Jimbo Fisher in the fall, or a few falls ago. But I guess that's the way the cookie crumbles around here in College Station. Just hiring coaches with weird names and great coaching resumes. So Jimbo, Buzz, what's next? Like Woody? I mean, let's just make the Toy Story duo back together. You're shaking your head, Desmond.
Sorry, talking George.
All right, you want to get into it, or should we let's just get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right. Let's forget the bad puns and start. So we had the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday this past weekend. And Desmond, I think we can agree that we finally got the upsets in March Madness that March Madness indeed is all about. Thankfully, right before the turn of the calendar to April, we finally got some March Madness. What did you like? What did you see that you really liked? Obviously, besides Texas Tech winning, but
Well, let me say that I think we had a disagreement, and you were telling me that Purdue wasn't going to beat Tennessee, and I was very strong about Purdue beating Tennessee.
oh,
And
I know you were.
George,
I know you were. And you know what, Desmond? I don't want to just applaud you for guessing the game. I want to applaud you for guessing the point spread correctly. Purdue beat Tennessee in the Sweet 16, 99-95, or 94 in overtime. And Desmond, do you remember what you said last week?
I don't remember. I know it was lower than that. 99's a lot of points.
No, you said, and I'm going straight from what we went to. You said, I got a gut feeling. I just feel something's going to happen to this Tennessee team. I've got Purdue by 5. And they won by 5.
There you go, baby. Let's
So-
put it on ESPN.
So, Desmond, I don't know if you are a time traveler or something, because that's way too psychic for that, as far as I'm concerned.
If I was a time traveler, I'd be able to know what's going to happen to Texas Tech this Saturday, because I'm very excited / nervous because, as I told you, George, I think Michigan State's the best team in this tournament. I've been saying that. They are. They're the best team in this tournament by far.
And that gets to my next point. Were you surprised when Duke lost?
No, I told you Michigan State was going to beat Duke. Michigan State is the best team in this tournament.
I mean, I think, and I'll get to this in just a few minutes, but I think Cassius Winston might just be the best player not named Zion Williamson.
Yeah, he's good. And
He's good.
The funny thing, he was really good. The funny thing I was looking at was like, out of the 4 games in the tournament, he only led scoring in 2 of them for his team.
Correct, but he still was able. I mean,
I'm just saying, like, there are other scorers that can like back him up.
Right, and that's what I think makes Michigan State so dangerous. When they beat LSU, and LSU was a very good team, and they just beat them by like 18, I believe is what it was. That final was 63-80, so 17. They put LSU, to bed, and then they go out against Duke, the best team in the nation, going into the tournament, obviously the number one overall seed, and go toe to toe, back and forth, heavyweight battle, coming down to the last 40 seconds, and they swish a three. And of course, RJ Barrett's going to be kicking himself in the butt for not making those two free throws.
Mm-hmm. Free throws are key. Free throws are key.
But, obviously that probably was the end for Zion Williamson. Do you think Duke will be able to bounce back? I know we say Duke is a one and done team. They always are going to bring players,
Right.
good players in. Do you think they're going to bring in do you think they're going to be able to produce the same next year?
I don't know if you're going to produce like as good as players as what you had this year. Obviously, they're going to bring in top recruits, every single year. One and done players, as you said, but they had a pretty stacked team this year.
They did. And speaking of stacked, I guess that also there was a very stacked ACC. And speaking of the ACC, can we talk about UNC for a second? North Carolina, what happened? I mean, I know we were saying this a week ago. I was saying UNC is a 1 seed, and they're showing why they were 1 seed. And then, of course, right after I say that, Auburn sweeps them.
I think we both were saying UNC was probably UNC was probably second best team in the tournament. But I think Auburn's for real. I don't think we can sleep on them.
I just think that what makes them really good is they are faceted in every single part of basketball. Mm-hmm. Every player is not just there's not a handful. All of them.
I think they're averaging 80.
What as a team?
80. They're averaging almost 80 points per game. 80. No, it's 88 or something like that. 88 points per game as a team in the tournament.
And they've shown against, in their last game out against Kentucky, they don't necessarily need Chuku or Chuke, the guy who went out with ACL injury. They don't need him, even though he was their best player that could be on both sides of the floor. They don't necessarily need him. They can still get wins and grind them out. But again, you're facing Virginia in one of the best ACC teams right now. Obviously, that's made it through the tournament. If we were to rank the final 4 teams that we have, Desmond, what would you rank them in? What order would you be? Without being unbiased.
No. First seed, as I said, Michigan State. Second seed, Texas Tech. All right. Maybe a little bias in there. Maybe a little bias. But second seed, Texas Tech. Third seed, Auburn. 4th seed, Virginia.
Why so low on Virginia?
I just don't like Virginia, George. And Auburn's just playing so well. I mean, they crushed almost every single team by 15 more points, except I think they beat Kentucky by 6. In the first game, they won by 1. But when they played LSU and Kansas, they crushed them by 15 plus points, which is a pretty good team because those are 2 and 4 seeds, something like that.
Correct. Yeah. Auburn beat the 3 winningest programs in college basketball on their way to the Final Four.
Yes.
That being Kansas, North Carolina, and Kentucky.
Yes.
So
and plus, there's just that underdog feel to them.
You're always gonna have. I mean, I guess last year we had Loyola Chicago in the Final Four.
But Loyola Chicago's also not a 5th seed Auburn.
Okay, that's true. So you're telling me that Auburn shouldn't have been a 5th seed?
I mean, I didn't see the bracket, see who else was in their division, but they're not playing like they're a 5th seed. I mean, that's obvious.
I mean, a very good point. I think they're just playing good basketball. What's going on?
It should be that maybe they are a 5th seed, but they're playing ball, and that's all you need to do.
So through your logic, you're telling me you would like to see Michigan State Auburn in the national championship game.
That's not what I'd like to see because I obviously Texas Tech in there, but that's what I think is going to happen.
All right. Well, for me personally, we differ actually pretty much. The way I would rank them is Virginia as number 1, Michigan State's a close 2, and then Texas Tech is 3, and Auburn is at the bottom. Michigan State could jump Virginia, in my opinion, but Virginia is just something about them right now. They have just, after that first half against Gardner-Webb in game 1 of the tournament, they have played extraordinary basketball. They were able to beat Oklahoma pretty handily. They beat an Oregon team that had probably the most momentum of any team in the tournament. Then they go and have to play Purdue with Caleb Edward or Carson Edwards, not Caleb, Carson Edwards, who is probably, I mean, I keep saying one of the best players not named Zion Williamson, but he is truly a 3-point shooter. He is a great player because he can find every part of the basketball uh, court to win. But you had to have one last possession, Diakite with that lay in at the buzzer, and Virginia goes to overtime and wins in overtime. So you have to feel for Purdue. But again, Virginia is playing basketball. They're playing their best basketball at the right time of the year. And Auburn better that's what I think is gonna make a very good storyline. Auburn versus Virginia, because Virginia is playing with this revenge. They want to get to the national championship game. They should have gotten there last year, but then they lost to UMBC in the first round. Auburn is this sleeper that nobody is respecting. They are, barely beat one to advance in the first round, in the round of 32 or round of 64 to go to the round of 32. Have destroyed Kansas, destroyed UNC, snuck by Kentucky. This team might be for real. We just need to see. I just think Virginia, Auburn will be good, but Auburn's just not going to have enough. Virginia will win. Michigan State will beat Texas Tech. Texas Tech is one of the best defensive teams in the nation. In fact, they might be the best because of how dominant they are with Moretti and with I think is his name Moretti.
Moretti.
David Moretti.
Yeah, Moretti. Yeah.
The Red Raider Italian who had his parents there in Anaheim, which was pretty cool. I saw that video. I just think Texas Tech could make it to the national championship game, but they've got to stop Cassius Winston. That man, it's not a man. He's playing grown man basketball. I had to catch myself there for a second. We'll see. He's going to be a player to watch. So will Kyle Guy for Virginia. We'll see. Either way, honestly, Michigan State, Virginia, Texas Tech, Virginia, Texas Tech, Auburn, Michigan State, Auburn, all those combinations you could have for a national championship game, I will not be upset with what we get because I think it will still be a very good showdown. We'll get points. We're going to, even if Texas Tech is in the national championship game, we will get points because that defense somebody's going to break through. We will have some 3-pointers fall because all these teams can shoot 3-pointers like they're shooting, like they're playing knockout. So I guess that's going to be we'll come back to those games at our game picks, but let's keep moving forward because we're stalling a little bit, quite a bit actually on what happened this past weekend. But talking today, we had breaking news that broke about 5 hours ago. Buzz Williams, the previous Virginia Tech head coach, just signed and agreed to become the new Texas A&M head basketball coach. He was on staff. He was on staff with Billy Gillespie in 2005-2006. That was the season they did not quite make it to the Sweet 16, but he was obviously had a part in that. It gave him the opportunity to go to Marquette. Took Marquette to the Elite Eight. Took Marquette, I think, to 3 Sweet 16s, and then got the job with Virginia Tech, where he just took them to their first Sweet 16 ever in program history.
And they got beat by Duke, who's a good team.
Right, and they got beat by them by 2, on that layup that didn't quite go down. So I got to be happy. His slogan is "Be Great." That's what he wants to instill in his players, is that we are going to be great. We're going to play with integrity. We're going to be smart, and we're going to be great. And I think that's what this Texas A&M basketball program needs. Needs somebody to reinstill those values. Get that through your head that it's not just for championship or just for every regular season game. It's for championships. We're playing with a championship culture. Just like Jimbo came in, he said, we're going to change things. We're going to change things because we need to get this to a championship culture. So I think it's exciting. I'm really excited. I think this is a right hire. Woodward, well done to him. Another masterful hire. I still don't understand how he was able to get Jimbo Fisher and Buzz Williams practically in a span of a year and a half. Um, I just think that we'll have to wait to see what happens in game one of the Buzz Williams era. I don't know if A&M's released their basketball schedule yet. Um, and again, we were trying to find the contract uh, negotiations. We believe that Buzz Williams has signed a $5 million contract.
They want to give him a minimum salary of 3.5 a year.
Okay, we're getting word here that they want to give Buzz a minimum of 3.5 million a year. Now, there is a press conference tomorrow that students, faculty, staff are invited to, so there will be they'll probably release details there and just check back on ESPN or whatever is your go-to sports website. But I can tell you that Buzz Williams did not just come for the money. He came because he wants an opportunity. He wants to be able to be back with the 12th man. Sees this as a opportunity to grow his coaching career and such. He went 160. He had 100 wins at Virginia Tech and 69 losses, which is actually a pretty good ratio. So Desmond, my question to you: What do you think the expectations are for this A&M program now with Buzz at the helm?
Well, obviously, going to be a building phase the next couple of years, but I mean, I don't see expectations of. That's hard because he has a very good resume, but also, I mean, A&M hasn't really produced much lately. So, like,
that's correct.
I mean, what are you going to complain about if he does better than like the past years? I mean, at least like y'all should at least shoot for like making a tournament at least, or like being close to making a tournament.
We went 14-18 this past year.
Yeah,
and so
break 500.
Right, it was our only under Kennedy. It was only the second losing season, which the first one was his very first season here in Aggieland. So of course it's kind of disappointing, but I just think it'll be exciting. Well, it's hard to gauge what exactly you want to say the expectations are because it's obviously for me one of the things is to get people back to Reed Arena. I believe the average attendance last year was like 3,000, maybe less than that, maybe like 2,500 a game. It was not nice. You go there and literally empty seats, like empty sections, maybe one or two people in a section, and that's just not right for a basketball program that even a school that is not necessarily a basketball school, but a school that should be focusing on basketball or focusing on ways to just have a better program. And obviously Woodward knows what he's doing and going out and getting Buzz to change that program. But one of the things I wanted to ask you, Desmond, is Chris Beard, who is the Texas Tech head coach, had come into these conversations about possibly taking the A&M job. Do you think he considered it at all? Do you think he really thought, wanted to leave this Texas Tech job, or do you think he or do you think that he just truly thought, I want to be with these Red Raiders, I want to stay there?
I don't think he would have left, Jordan. I mean, he won the Big 12 Coach of the Year last year, probably going to win it this year again. He's built something here at Texas Tech, I was sad to hear about you're saying your stadium's full because we have to kick people out of our stadium here,
Wow.
It's so crowded. But he's built something here. I mean, first Final Four in history. I mean, how are you going to leave that?
Exactly. But also you could make the same case with Buzz Williams. First Sweet 16 in program history, and he left that.
That's true. But there's a difference.
There's a difference. No. I'm not denying that. There's a difference between making it to a Sweet 16 and a Final Four.
There's also kind of a difference from switching from Texas Tech to Texas A&M than from switching from Virginia Tech to Texas A&M.
Correct. And one's going from a maybe mediocre program in the ACC to a dominant program, or a needs to be restored to dominance program in the SEC.
Right.
Versus Big 12, where the competition is already fierce, to SEC, which is kind of, it's if you're at the top, it's fierce. Otherwise, it's kind of just mediocre.
I don't know. Kentucky, Tennessee, Auburn, LSU.
What I'm saying is only if the competition at the top, it's only really competition at the top of the league, not really the middle, bottom. if you get what I mean.
Yeah, okay, I get what you mean.
Whereas Big 12 has, what was it? 8 teams battling at one point or 6
Yeah.
teams battling for first, second, and
Yeah.
third. So there's a lot of competition there. I think Chris Beard will get an extension. I personally think
Oh yeah.
that
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure. If he hasn't, if it hasn't been, within the Texas Tech or athletic director staff, already, he's going to get one because taking a team to a Final Four and not saying that we want you to stay here for longer, that's not right. If that doesn't happen,
Yeah.
but we'll see what happens on Saturday, and we'll get to those picks in a second. So let's move the conversation to NBA. Desmond, I know you're a huge NBA guy. You like basketball. Playoff season's almost here. I believe there's 4 or 5 games left, or 3 or 4 games left for each team in the NBA. So that puts us around next week or the week after when playoffs will start. So Desmond, I ask you this, or I guess we'll go back and forth. Who you got in your Eastern Conference Finals?
Well, George, I actually have the Boston Celtics and Toronto Raptors making it. I think it will come down. Yeah, because based off the bracket, like if the NBA ended right now, the Celtics would end up having to play the Bucks. And I'm just really feeling Celtics. Maybe it's because my dad's from up north. I like the Boston teams. Maybe
You Boston homer. That's not fair, Desmond. The Red Sox, the Patriots, the Celtics, the Bruins. What's next? What's next? You're gonna be a Boston College fan in college football season?
Actually, I do have a friend that plays for them, but I feel Kyrie's just gonna work his magic. They got close last year, very close. All right, but
are you telling me that the Bucks are not strong enough to make it to the finals?
I didn't say that. I just think that I just have a better feeling about the Celtics.
I got you. So it's funny because we are going to have 4 different teams here. I guess the top 4 teams in the East. I've got the Bucks against the 76ers. I like Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. I like the way they play, and you have all those supporting characters there with Boban Marjanovic,
Yeah.
and the hate that they have for the Celtics. That I think they would play. I think they would play each other, or at some point somebody would have to play the Celtics, either the Raptors or the 76ers. I don't know, but the Bucks. Giannis is basically unstoppable. He's good. Chris Middleton, gig him. Am I right, folks? Or Chris Middleton, the Aggie. The Bucks just have good weapons. I think it will be a 6-game conference finals, and the Bucks will win. I think the Bucks can beat the 76ers, so that process will need to be trusted a little bit more. And I do believe next year the 76ers will get to the finals. You heard it here first. What were you going to say, Desmond? I cut you off.
I said 6. So you're right down. I put 6 games as well. Boston.
Okay. Winning. All right. So Boston winning and going to the finals on the Eastern Conference side, the weaker conference, I guess. But if we look at the stacked West with everyone from the Warriors and Rockets and Nuggets to the bottom of the conference with the Lakers and Mavs. And
I told him to go to Houston.
See, LeBron does not listen to anyone in the public. He just is like, screw it, I'm going to Hollywood.
He was probably regretting it too.
I mean, maybe that's why he wanted out, or not out, but why he wanted to just get sat for the rest of the season. Just is like, I need to contemplate my decisions now. But regardless of that, I do think the Rockets will make it to the conference finals, and they'll face the Warriors. We'll get a rematch of last year. It will get to 7 games because the NBA refs will make it go to 7 games. This time, playoff Harden is going to be clutch Harden, and CP3 is going to stay healthy. At least I hope. Rockets beat the Monstars and Steph, Clay, KD, and Draymond, so the Rockets go to the finals. What about you, Desmond?
I had the exact same. Golden State, Houston. But I have the Warriors winning 6.
Oh.
They're just too good, George.
I know they are, but Desmond, Can we just mention that the Rockets have beaten the Warriors 3 times this year?
Yes, but it's different in the playoffs, George.
Are you telling me that James Harden's
No.
playoff self is not the same as his regular self?
Okay. James Harden did playoffs a little iffy during games. He's proven that last year. All right, he's a little iffy when it comes to clutch times and big games.
I know he is, but like, there's something's gonna give. Something's going to sometime at some point is going to give, and he's going to make up for all the bad decisions that he's had. And I think this might just be the year. The Rockets the city of Houston needs a championship, and can't be relying on the Astros to do it again. So give it to the Rockets.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we look to the finals, I have the Rockets and Bucks, and you said you'd have the Warriors and Celtics. So Desmond, who do you have winning?
3 times in a row, George.
Golden State? How many games?
6.
Okay, that's respectable. Do you think?
I wasn't say 5. But I feel like Celtics would squeak in another one.
I got you, but for me, because I have the Bucks and the Rockets, I think the Bucks, it would be like their first time in the finals in quite a long time. If they haven't made it to the finals prior, but I take the Rockets in 7 games. I mean, I'm biased, but I do think this might be the year. And Desmond, of course, the all eternal question: who's your MVP?
I know a lot of my friends have been saying Giannis.
Giannis? It's Giannis.
Giannis. I'm sorry, George.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I forgot who else they're throwing out, but I was saying Harden. I think Harden will go back to back this year, even though like it's not done a lot. But yeah, I think Harden will win it this year.
I agree.
Yeah,
James Harden with the unanimous decision. Not even a split. Like, it's gonna be a unanimous. If you look at his points and the production that he's done, and that year, that amount of games, what was it, like 35 games that he had where he had at least 30 points?
Yeah.
Shows how valuable he is to the team. The team relies on him to get points and to win the game. Some of those were losses, but they rely on him to get points. Isn't that what a most valuable players means?
Yes.
The player that's the most valuable to your team?
Yes.
I feel like we had this conversation a few years ago with Harden versus Curry, or Harden versus Westbrook, who was more valuable. And
Westbrook was.
Okay, I think Westbrook was, but this year I think if you're looking between Harden and Giannis is valuable, but he's not as valuable to that team. Why are you making that face at me, Desmond?
Well, I mean, you take away Harden, you still have Chris Paul, Clint Capella. They could still win games, but if you take away Giannis, I don't think it's the same story. You don't have that length, just that mammoth. You know what I'm saying?
It sounds like you have a man crush on Giannis.
No, I'm just saying if you want to do it based off like value wise, I think the Bucks rely more on Giannis than the Rockets do on James Harden.
Okay,
So, Rockets have 3-4 shooters; they'll score anytime, but I feel like it'd be a lot different.
Desmond, they play 5-on-5 for a reason. It's not just Giannis. You have 4 other guys on the Bucks that are good.
The Rockets, it's not just Harden.
Okay, sure, we'll make that argument. But if we're looking at valuability, I mean, you could make a case that Giannis is more valuable. And to me, I think Harden does a lot for that Houston team. He does more than Giannis does for this Bucks team, because how many times have I seen Giannis be he may be the highest scorer for the Bucks, but sometimes he's not the guy that makes those clutch shots, or there's other guys on that Bucks team that do that. And you could say, oh, well, that only happens like 10% of the time. Okay, but it still happens 10% of the time. Last time I checked, I feel like every single time I look at the Rockets score, Harden is the one that has the leading score. He's got the most shots. He has the shots that count, and he has the shots that count in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes to go, up by 5, and you make a 3-pointer. That's a dagger. So I mean, you can see this argument we've had obviously shows that the NBA is still kind of undecided.
Right.
But do you think I know they say that they only look at regular season status. Do you think in this case with the how good the two teams are, do you think they'll like wait to see what the playoff does for those?
I think they're probably. I said that unless one of them totally bombs during the playoffs, I think like whoever they think should win right now will be the winner.
Okay. I It's just that's a hard decision, It's just MVP. Why does it always have to be James Harden versus somebody else? The struggles, right?
Right.
when you're saying it should be somebody else, and it's like, and Steph Curry's out here not being able to make threes, so you're like, you can't put him in the race. So, speaking of race, let's look at what's going on for college baseball and the conference races. I know the Big 12 is getting a little bit closer. Speaking of the Big 12, the Texas Tech Red Raiders were able to get a series win over Kansas State in Kansas. They also got a win at New Mexico State last night, so that was big. They host Kansas for the first Big 12 series at home this season. Desmond, do you think they'll get a sweep? Do you think Kansas will be able to get one win from them?
Well, I believe I think we've only lost twice at home, so I think we're gonna sweep.
Okay.
Feeling it.
You're gonna go to your first games this weekend then?
I'm gonna try to. Depends on like what I have to do for work.
And of course the Texas Tech game on Saturday.
Of course, I'm not missing that.
You could for some afternoon baseball though.
Nope. Don't even think about it, George.
That's red. Come on.
Nope.
It's baseball season now.
No, I don't care. No, this is Final Four. This is the heart of basketball season.
This is unknown territory for Texas Tech University. Okay, let's still make it unknown territory. Go to a baseball game, have some fun.
I can go to a baseball game later.
All right.
Season's over.
You don't get my sarcasm, but all right, fine.
I get it.
Speaking, or keep moving forward here. A&M went 1-1-1, win, loss, and tie against Mizzou. The tie was because Missouri had travel requests or travel arrangements, so the game was 2-2 in the 10th inning, and so they called it, which is not fun, but I guess it happens. But we did get the most important one of the season, that being over that school in Austin, the Longhorns. We beat them 9-6. It was our first win in Austin since the Big 12 era. Our pitching looked good. And Desmond, I don't know if you remember from our middle school days, our good friend Owen Meany was on the mound.
Yeah.
Was on the mound for the Longhorns, and he made his second career start for the Longhorns, but it did not go so well. He allowed Owen Meany had 2 innings pitched, allowed 6 hits, 4 earned runs, struck out 2, and had a hit by pitch, and was saddled with the loss last night. So didn't go good for our friend, but I guess if you're looking at it one way, I rooted for him in quotes, but glad to see the Aggies hold on for the 9-6 victory. This is a good win for the Aggies. It's not necessarily a bad loss for the Longhorns. Aggies are ranked in the top 10, so it's not necessarily a bad thing. It just shows that Texas was still able to compete. Speaking of competing top 25, we might have the 3 best teams in college baseball history right now. Mississippi State, UCLA, and Stanford are all battling it out 1, 2, and 3 ranked. I think it's a consensus: 1 UCLA, 2 Stanford, and 3 Mississippi State. They all are just dominant. They have great pitching staffs. They have good hitting. UCLA faces Stanford this weekend, though, so that'll be an interesting series to see who will, 1 versus 2, who's going to come out on top. But Desmond, I ask you this. We've seen the top 25, and we've mentioned it for basketball and baseball. It really doesn't matter to the tournament. It doesn't matter who really is doing so great until we start putting regional hosts and start looking at conference tournaments. So what do you think? What do you think is going to play out? Do you think Texas Tech is ranked, by the way? They're in 17th. Do you think there will be teams that move drastically, or will we just kind of see what we have right now? The top 10 stay the same.
Well, I don't know much about baseball, but I assume that nothing drastic will happen. Maybe one team going to lose a streak, but I think like there'll be a couple changes, like just a couple of switch ups by 2-3 spots. But I don't think anything like drastic will happen. Like we're gonna have a whole shift.
Gotcha. Usually there is a team or two that does move up or down, but if you had UCLA and Stanford have been matched up, I know this isn't a game or a series that we're picking, but they've been matched up pretty well. Do you think we get a series sweep by either one of the two teams, or do you think it will be back and forth for all three games that they play this weekend?
I think we back and forth.
All right. So that we'll check back in on that next time. But there is something I do want to discuss. Since A&M and the Longhorns did play their rivalry game that they usually play for baseball, they've played it every year since 2014. It alternates between sites. 2014, I believe, was in College Station. 15 was in Austin. 16 in Yeah, that would be right. 16 in College Station, 17 in Austin, 18 in College Station, and this year in Austin. This game set the Austin regular season single game attendance record, 7,952. I think the record was beat by like 400 fans. So obviously, it brings up and it had the atmosphere of an NCAA regional game. So it begs the question: when are we going to see this rivalry take place in other sports?
Right.
How long? What? I mean, what's your take on that? Obviously, you are not a Longhorn. You are not an Aggie. You're a Texas Tech Red Raider. You kind of are a little bit impartial here because you're not involved in the heatedness of the rivalry. What, as an outsider, what are you looking at? Are you saying that we're going to see more rivalry games like with other Big 12 schools before we see the Texas and A&M play? What's your take?
Well, I mean, I'd be all for seeing A&M Texas football games. I'd be all for that. I miss like back at Thanksgiving, back in the days when they're both in Big 12. They'd all get together to watch the game. But I mean, maybe it's done. I mean, A&M moved to the SEC. They have their own rivalries now, LSU, Alabama. But I'd definitely love to see at least one game, maybe every 2 years or so. Texas and Texas A&M.
But surely a rivalry is not just done. Like, what if you just stop? What if you just stop playing Texas? What if you guys just stop playing Texas this next year? Like, wouldn't that be a little bit frustrating? A little bit?
No, I'm not saying. Yeah, it's definitely frustrating. I think you should be frustrated, but I'm saying like that's just how like the committee works and they set up the scheduling.
Do you think there is some pettiness there?
Probably, maybe a little bit.
But so, I guess but if you had to guess, do we see it anytime soon, or do you think it'll be do you think we'll see it again in our lifetime, or will it be after we're gone?
No, I think we'll see it in our lifetime.
I like the optimism. Personally, I would love to see it next year. I know it won't happen. I know it won't happen in the next 10, 20, 30 years. But you can always dream, right?
Right.
You could always dream that Texas Tech was going to get to the Final Four, and
what happens?
This day has come, But I do think everyone wants the rivalry, except for the administration. The students want it. The figures show. They set an attendance record. It was a great game. It wasn't one-sided. It was back and forth. I just don't see why we can't just bring it back and show that that's what makes Texas, the state of Texas, Texas. Everything's bigger, better. Rivalries are better. Not anymore. That's just my rant there on the rivalry. But hopefully we'll see it. I mean, if it makes any difference, I tried to prank people by writing an April Fool's article saying that the game had come back and made it very official looking on an ESPN article and maybe thought people would fall for it, and they did to a certain point where then they were like, "Nah, this is too early for it to happen." I'm like, "Wow, that hurts right there," because that's the one part I could have changed. The year if I had gotten it right, it would have
Yeah.
maybe worked. But I guess it's time to pick some games because we're running on time here. We're making this way too long. But Desmond, would you like to know that your upsets are actually working? I don't know what you're doing. I don't know if it's what you're eating, if it's just the mindset you have, but you are 4-2 since we've done basketball games. I am 5-3, so I'm right behind you. But I'd like to tell you that you are, I believe, I believe you are 17 and 6, or no, 18-3. I'm sorry, better than that. 18-3 in your record for basketball, picking games,
Sport.
and I am 11-10. So I guess that shows that Desmond's the basketball guy and I'm the football guy.
Right.
But we do have a mix of games. We have women's basketball, men's basketball, and we have a baseball game that we're gonna
I had to
pick.
put the Rangers and Astros just for
And
you,
there you
George.
go. The Lone Star Series, playing for the Silver Boot, and I guess because we do have women's basketball and the Final Fours and this, it's a good time to bring in my our good friend that we've had on the podcast one too many times, but it's good to bring him back and tell him to share his opinion. So let's welcome Hunter Prabhu back to the podcast. He's gonna pick the games. He is not an Astros or a Rangers fan, so we'll see who he picks in that one. He's a LA Dodgers fan, so he feels the struggles. But he is a women's basketball watcher and I guess follower. So he'll probably make those picks right and we'll get them wrong, Desmond. I mean, not saying that, I'm not trying to say that to be rude, but I guess it would be true. So Desmond, we're going to start with the first women's Final Four game. They're playing the women's Final Four in Tampa these days. I don't know why, but I guess it's a good place to play it in Tampa. Good weather, nice arena. Oregon takes on Baylor. Baylor's the 1 seed. Oregon's a 2 seed. There's this girl for Oregon. Her name is Oneku, I think is how you say it. She's got like the most triple doubles in NCAA tournament history, more than Russell Westbrook did at UCLA in the men's side. So like she's pretty good. We'll just put it that way. And I think Baylor's good, but I haven't personally seen either one team play. But I know Oregon, just looking at the score difference, I know they're good. I've got Oregon by 6. What about you, Desmond? I know you probably just kind of.
Baylor went undefeated in their conference, I believe, this year, and I think they lost one game. So I'm going to have to go with them. I have them winning by 4 points.
Okay. And then Hunter, Baylor, Oregon.
I'm gonna have Baylor in this one. I agree with you. I think I can't pronounce her name.
Oneku, I believe is how you
if
say
you're
it.
putting up that kind of stats, you're that good. But I think Baylor's just been that program where they've always been good for many years, and I think I have them originally in my championship game, so I'm gonna go with Baylor on this one within 10.
Wow. Okay. All right. Good pick. I guess I'm gonna be the lone duck. Get it? The Oregon Ducks. No laughter. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. And pick and have Oregon.
You're on fire today, George.
Hey, what can I say? My puns are really corny, but we're not talking about the Cornhuskers, so that was a waste of a pun. All right, moving forward. The second women's Final Four game, UConn and Notre Dame. Agumbawale versus Katie Lou Samuelson, I think is her name. That's a rematch of a Final Four game last year. And Agumbawale had that buzzer beater 3 last year against them, and then the buzzer beater 3 to win the national championship. We get another great game. Agumbawale wins it again. Notre Dame by 3. Desmond, what do you got?
George. I want to give props to Texas A&M. They're the closest point differential to Notre Dame in this tournament was 7. Notre Dame beat all the other teams by 20-plus points.
Correct.
So you're saying they're going to only win by 3?
Yes, I do, because it's the University of Connecticut, and when it comes to women's basketball, there's no team that has more fight than UConn.
I have Notre Dame winning by 15.
Whoa!
George,
Oh my goodness!
Killing everyone in this tournament.
All right. I mean, I know they're killing everybody, but that doesn't mean that they're going to kill UConn.
When we get back next week, you will see.
Okay, he says by 15. Hunter, what do you think?
I feel strong about this than I did about Purdue being Tennessee.
Whoa! Oh my gosh, Desmond! You're telling me they're going to win by 15,
yes.
and are they going to win the national championship?
Yes, they will.
They'll beat Baylor.
Yes, they will.
Okay, back to back. Like they're Jordan.
96-97.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not a rapper, so I can't really do that. Hunter, we almost cut you off, but go ahead.
No worries. I got UConn in this one. I'll tell you why. I agree with both of y'all. Arike Ogunbowale is a special talent. She's definitely a first rounder in the WNBA draft. But here's the thing: it's hard to beat Gino Auriemma 2 times in a row. They have a good program. They haven't had the best season so far, but I have faith in that UConn team. And the way I saw Notre Dame would play against A&M and who did they play in the Elite Eight?
Stanford.
They kind of barely squeaked by those wins, so I'm going to have UConn in this one by 7.
Okay.
What? That must beat Stanford by 20.
What?
I said they must beat Stanford by 20. Beat them like 16 or something.
All right. Desmond. Just let Hunter be, okay? Hey, they're on their revenge tour. They beat Louisville.
Yeah. Sometimes that emotion does play a factor into a game. So I'm not changing my mind.
Okay. You realize if UConn were to lose their Final Four game, it'd be the 3rd straight year that they were to lose before getting to the national championship game, right? I feel like I feel like that doesn't happen to UConn. Too good of a program. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's try to not drag this out too long. The game that Desmond's been waiting for, Texas Tech, Michigan State. The late game in Minneapolis at the Final Four. Big 10, Big 12 showdown. Texas Tech's defense with Moretti is relentless. 2 words. Cassius Winston. Sorry, Desmond. Michigan State wins by 5. Who do you have?
2 syllables. Defense. Texas Tech winning by 5.
Okay. I like that comeback. What about you, Hunter?
My heart wants to say Texas Tech, and I honestly am gonna root for them in this game. But I'm gonna agree with you on this one, George. I think Cassius Winston is he's an absolute baller, as you can see, and I just like that Duke Michigan State game. That was the one game I was worried about that would kind of break my bracket, even though I didn't have Duke winning the whole thing. I still had them in my in the national championship. But I have Michigan State winning this one by 3.
Wow, close game. Desmond, it looks like you're the Lone Raider going for the Texas Tech Red Raiders on this one. So, I guess you're our Lone Ranger. See what they're Lone Ranger. I said Raider, but I meant Ranger.
It's all good.
All right, fine. My dad jokes are getting really bad, so let's just finish this before I submit more. Auburn, Virginia, the other Final Four game, the early one in Minneapolis. Kyle Guy, they are averaging 33% from the 3, but Bruce Pearl has this team that's well-rounded. Desmond, you've almost convinced me to change my pick over the last 50 minutes, but I've got to stick with my gut. Go Cavs. Cavaliers win by 9. What about you?
I'm not changing my mind, George. SEC is going to make it to national championship. Auburn wins by 3.
And you got the underdogs in both games.
I do.
Sorry, but that underdog weekend was last weekend, not this weekend. You're lucky that Texas Tech made it to the Final Four.
Oh, okay.
All right, Hunter. Show Desmond who's boss. Who do you have in this championship game?
I'm actually gonna
this
show,
Final Four game, right?
I'm actually going to show you who's boss because I have Auburn winning this one.
Whoa!
Because I will tell you why. Again, I saw Auburn. The 2 games I was impressed with Auburn in the the 2 games I was impressed with in the regular season. We played A&M, Auburn, the 2 Tigers, Auburn and LSU, and I honestly liked Auburn a little bit more. And Auburn broke my bracket by beating North Carolina. But if I had Auburn play, you put Auburn in the region with Gonzaga or Virginia, I have Auburn upsetting both of those teams in that region.
Wow.
So I have Auburn by 15 because of their stellar defense and Bruce Pearl.
Wait, what? What? Wait, what?
1-5, gentlemen, 1-5.
Desmond?
It makes my comment earlier look kind of smart.
Do you think? Now, Desmond, you know what? Honestly, what if they come back and win? What if they win?
I
by
mean,
50?
I did tell you that Auburn has beaten every single team by 15 plus, except.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, except for New Mexico State, who probably should have won that game.
Yeah.
So, and New Mexico State's going to be kicking themselves in the foot because if Auburn does go
right.
win the championship game, they're going to be like, "Come on, really?" All right. So that's done with our basketball games because there's only 4 going on this weekend. Sorry, NIT, you don't count. Remember, NIT stands for not in tournament. So let's look forward to baseball. Lone Star Series, the first of the 19-game series, finishes up today with the first 3 games. The Rangers won yesterday 6-4, lost the first game 3-2, I believe, or 3-1, like that. I think the Rangers are starting off on a good note, and surprisingly, I didn't think they'd start off that well. So, I think they are able to beat the Houston Astros and get the win, 8-2. The Texas Rangers. Go Rangers, go! 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 Hey Texas, what do you say? The Rangers gonna win today. Chicago's got nothing on that song right there. Desmond, I hope you tell me the Rangers are gonna win. Otherwise, we might not be friends anymore.
I'm sorry, George.
All right, folks. That was our last episode of the 5th quarter. Goodbye, everybody.
I have Astros winning 3-1.
Wow. Okay. You think they're gonna bounce back?
I do.
It's too early in the season to say anything, but I mean, I guess you're right. Baseball can happen just about anything. So, Hunter, you impartial Californian. Who do you have in this one?
Well, I don't like the Astros, and I think everyone knows why. So I'm gonna have the Rangers win it 5-2.
See, Desmond, this is why you pick the Rangers. This is why you should pick the Rangers, so you can be friends, not hurt people's feelings. Okay, you hurt his feelings. The Astros beat the Dodgers in the World Series, and he's sad. Okay, come on, get it together. Speaking of getting it together, that's gonna wrap up our 18th episode of the 5th quarter. We'll break down the Final Four in the national championship next week. We'll look ahead to college baseball, probably look at the NBA playoffs, maybe a little bit in depth. We'll have lots more to talk about on episode 19. But please, as we mentioned last time, we do have a mailbag episode come up on episode 20 in about 2 weeks. We will break down anything that you ask, that you send, questions, comments, topics, concerns, things about sports that Desmond and I may not know. We're open to just about anything as long as it's appropriate and it's sports related.
Great.
We'll talk about it, discuss it, and that's all. That will be truly our episode. We won't have anything planned. We will just answer your questions and discuss it. So signing off for the fifth quarter, episode 18 this time on Wednesday, April the 3rd, 2019. Thank you, Hunter, for joining us again. I am George Koff, and for my partner in Lubbock,
Welcome Tech, baby.
he's Desmond McLaughlin. So long, everybody. Gig 'em, Aggies.
Good.
Adios.
Tech.
And don't forget to watch the game on Saturday.